Well, hi folks, it's Jonathan, Spiritual Speakeasy, and I have not done one of these since July 2021. 2022, sorry, 22. Crikey, there you go. I know I'm looking younger, much younger. The beard's grown a little bit, yeah, but I'm actually reversing in age a bit like that Benjamin Button character. So I know you're kind of in awe of that. It's just happening. I don't know how, can't tell you. Anyway, I have with me, alongside of me even, my sidekick. Okay, and she does quite often, as you can't see under the table, kick me in the shins when I start getting a little bit out of line. This is my lovely wife Anne, if you've never met Anne before or seen Anne before. Okay, say hello Anne.
Hello Anne, hi.
Hello Anne. Hello.
Hello.
And we are coming here to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on over the last few years. Now, a lot happened since the last time I did a speakeasy, and that was with the lovely Mary Rodwell, if anybody tuned in at that time. If you did, thank you very much. I know there were a few followers that were looking into the speakeasy videos. Thank you for doing so. You can do that likey, subscribey thing if you want to do. We're not asking you to do that. We're just here to have a chat and talk about how we see the world, our viewpoints. There's a lot of opinion in that. We don't profess anything to be the truth. If anybody watched the speakeasy videos before, we don't kind of say this is the truth and you must believe it. Okay, anybody who kind of tells you that, yeah, whatever. You've got to go along with your own judgment, your own heart, what your heart is saying to you. That is the most important thing. Anyway, a heck of a lot's happened since that last time, as I mentioned. And I even got a new guide, Uther the Dragon, an Atlantean druid, who's taught me quite a lot in that space of time. And I've got into sacred geometry, I've got into cymatics, my sound healing journey's progressing quite nicely. But perhaps you might want to know a little bit more about Anne, so I'm going to kind of just take a back seat now and just let Anne do a little bit of an update about you, if that's all right.
Well, what's been going on? Well, for those of you that don't know me, as you said, my name's Anne. I'm Jonathan's, should that be sidekick?
Psychic.
Does it work?
It could do.
Could do.
In a different reality.
It could do. Well, we run a wellbeing centre, in case you don't know. So we've actually got a physical place where you'll find us beavering away there, doing one-to-ones with people, workshops, courses, classes, that sort of stuff. Because we were having a chat, weren't we, before doing this, to say that it's not something that we can continuously do, you know, like we're not influencers, are we?
We're not influencers. No, we're de-influencers, actually. We're the opposite to influencers. Is it de-influencers?
I don't know, I've not heard that term before.
No, I've never. No, well, we've just invented it.
We've
then,
just invented
there you go.
Absolutely. So, yes, much as we'd perhaps like to do a few more of these, I don't think it's going to be physically possible, is it?
To do what?
To do more frequently. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, we've seen over the years about the hamster wheel, haven't we? And how people get onto this social media hamster wheel, and a constant cycle of having to come up with new material, because a lot of people have got monetized. Okay.
Well, just speaking of that, if any adverts coming up, that's nothing to do with
us.
Yeah,
we've no control over the ads.
We're not monetized. We've no intention of being monetized. We're just here, just for the ride.
Yeah, if we get monetized, then we've been zapped by the wizards of kind of corporate social media, so it's not our doing.
Well, perhaps somebody's looking kindly on us.
Could be.
Could be.
But yeah, so we're not into that hamster wheel thing. We're not going to be, you know, oh, what we're going to do this week, what we're going to do that week. We've seen too much of it, and people get stuck in that, and that's partly what we want to talk about on this speakeasy, is how people are getting locked into this narrative. Yeah, and I've spoken about it 2-3 years ago, about this narrative business, about how we've seen the division in humanity and us and them, yeah? And it just seems to have grown stronger and wider in the field. And we both feel quite strongly about it. How we're getting more and more, it seems, controlled by devices, by being sucked into this kind of false illusion, really, of reality, reality through a screen, okay? Not the reality out there in the great wide world. And we're just in spring now of 2024, or coming into spring at February. And there's so much going on out there in the natural world. The whole of the natural world in the Northern Hemisphere is once again waking up. And that's a little bit of a metaphor for humanity, because there's a lot of people in the Northern and Southern Hemisphere who are waking up, yeah? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so we're definitely not little hamsters on that wheel, yeah, churning stuff out. Yeah, it's all for the likes and subscribes, mate. Yeah, if you want to do, please do. We love interaction, by the way. We love interaction, so please drop us a comment. That's the bit that we'd love to hear. We'd love to hear from you. We've got the website. We've just managed to find out the button which allows us to put comments on our blogs. I was in computers, by the way, so I should know a little bit more, but I must admit I've lost track a little bit over the last few years since I kind of came out with that. We just thought together we can just have a chat about the feelings, yeah, about how people are feeling, because we do come into contact through our centre with lots of wonderful people, all with different viewpoints, but some commonality through the spiritual side of things, because that's what we're there for. We're talking about the spirit and how there really is a division in society where on part of that there is a lot of spirit, and on the other part of it there seems to be no spirit whatsoever. So anyway, where are we going to go, Anne?
I don't know.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
Where
It's
are we
one of
off?
the things, we have these great conversations, don't we, on a Sunday morning? We have to take ourselves away out of the house, so we're not over a cup of coffee, so we're not getting embroiled in all them jobs, the endless list of jobs that always need doing and never get done.
Yeah, washing.
But it's interesting, you know, we're talking about division of people. And this concept of living in a 3D world and a 5D world and this 4D in the middle. And we've certainly come to recognise what a 3D world is, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, we see that every Monday morning
when we go shopping,
to Aldi.
So it's nothing to do with Aldi, is it?
That is like some kind of Doctor Who TARDIS thing where we re-enter into 3D from this kind of 4D, 5D realm that we feel as though we might be in right now. You know?
I just think it's... We've had the division over these last 3 years, haven't we? We've been one side or the other side.
Oh, we've always been divided, haven't we?
We've always been divided. Well, that's where I'm thinking, you know, we're divided by war, we're divided by all this, I'm not going to name it, what's going on in the news, you know, the divisions about who we are, what our preferences are, all that sort of stuff.
Politics is the greatest divider.
Politics is another great one, isn't it? There's always something. I mean,
this party, that party.
You know, perhaps I'm being naive, but let's be honest, two countries warring with each other. Why don't we just throw the politicians into a boxing ring and go, do you know what, you get on with it, mate? Because I'm not interested in war. I don't want war. Do you know anybody who wants war?
I personally don't know anybody who wants war. And that's the point, isn't it? Because it's the politicians who create the war. So, you know, if we had no politicians, then we probably wouldn't have any war.
We'd probably get on a lot better.
We'd probably get on a lot better. Yeah. In fact, you know, in my world, if we didn't have any politicians full stop, then we would certainly get on a lot better. You know, particularly now that it's not just about countrywide party politics, not that party politics even works anyway, and if people really can't see that by now, with what's gone on in the last few years, then you might want to look a bit wider at things. But now it seems that we're being controlled by people who are global, okay? These global organizations that are people who are not even elected. They've never, ever been elected by anyone in the public. The public have never had an option to vote for these people, but yet these people are now dictating global policy. So we've got to think about that and ask ourselves, how on earth have we allowed this to happen?
Well, you know, if we had a sense of spirituality, it can't exist alongside politics.
Not in its current form.
The whole idea is of seeing the bigger picture of things, isn't it? You know, being able to see perhaps the purpose why we're here. We may not know the exact purpose, but know that there's a reason why we're here. That there's a reason for everything. You know?
There is, and you've got to ask yourself the question, the decisions that are being made in the world on our behalf, by the way, where's the spirit in that? Where's the spiritual aspect in it all? Where's the deep-rooted love for humanity? Where's the compassion for humanity? Where's the kindness for humanity? I've not seen it. Have you seen it?
Not recently.
From politics? There seems to be a wall of silence on some very pertinent subjects, and some of us will know what those subjects are. Other ones are waking up to the fact now that something's not right in the world. And when we drill down deep into it, we can kind of argue till we're blue in the face. You know, let's take an example of 2020, okay, as a good year. It wasn't particularly a good year, yeah. But it's a good example
of a year.
Yeah. Because in 2020 the whole world changed. Yeah, and there's no two ways about that. We can state that as fact. That is true. The whole world changed. The planet didn't change.
Humanity,
by the way.
completely lost its marbles.
Carried on. It did. Absolutely went mad. Yeah, and the animals came out to have a look at us.
Yeah.
What the hell are you lot doing in these woods? And look at all these people things coming.
Strange things.
Yeah. Wow. Ooh. And the whole world went quiet, and it was wonderful. And but what we're looking at here is, and I mentioned it in one of the Spiritual Speakeasy videos about, are the truthers being played? And the question was that we've got on the one side people who believed everything that the government was telling them, and then on the other side people saying, oh no, that's all wrong, that's all wrong. And we were on that side of trying to say to people, look, there's something not right here. We need to look into it. We need to research things. We need to go deeper into things because it's not racking up. And what we realized was that we were in what we call the spiritual awakening, which was kind of foretold by my guides and other spiritual entities and people all over the world. Knew that something was coming, something was going to happen, didn't quite know what it was until we met 2020. And what's kind of puzzling us now a little bit, though, is that the people on the truth side, allegedly, and I say truth in inverted commas, because not one of us knows the truth, okay? We can go with our truth and what is true for that moment in time. And that is only true because of our perception. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's only true because we perceive it to be true. Yeah. But what's happening is, and we've seen it in recent events, where on both sides people are still locked into a narrative. Yeah, they're locked into it, and they believe so strongly in what they're doing that that's right. They are only right. Yeah. And
there doesn't seem to be room for debate these days without people arguing about it. We can't have just a genuine debate. It's like, what's
Yeah.
your idea? What's my idea?
Yeah.
What do they think? What do you think?
Yeah.
You know, because you learn so much by talking to people, but you can't learn if you're arguing.
No. And I mean, social media is a good example
Mm.
of that, of course. Because you look in the social media comments section, and in a very short space of time, it becomes a good slagging off for somebody. Yeah. It gets political. You know, I'm on this side, I'm on
Well, it
that
gets very
side.
personal, doesn't
And
it?
it gets very personal. And this is another thing we've seen in the truth movement more than anything, is this kind of baying hound situation where, you know, people are being picked on, these targets of derision from the truth side. But you know what we've got to also bear in mind is that these people are human as well, you know, that we've got to show compassion to everything, everybody, because we're all on a pathway of awakening. And however that manifests itself is really our business.
Well, there
Yeah.
has to be instigators, doesn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, there's always got to be something that instigates something else happening.
Yeah.
So you get a public figure that is, let's call him the bad guy.
Yeah.
Without that person, then things aren't going to move in certain directions. So they really become the catalyst.
Absolutely.
So from a spiritual point of view, if we were to believe, and I'm not saying again, we can't say any of this is true, but if we sort of come from the understanding that Earth is a school, it's a place to come and experience, as you talk about quite a lot, and we come to choose various roles to play for those experiences, then these people aren't necessarily the bad guys as such. They're here to just like an actor fulfills a role in a play.
Yeah.
You know, that they come for a purpose.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what sacrifice that is to come and be somebody who is hated by so many others?
Yeah. Because it's not always about the good guys, is it, spirituality?
No.
And this is the point, is that everybody, oh, unicorns, ooh, and all this stuff.
I like unicorns.
Yeah, we love unicorns. And as Uther has explained to us, that these beings, these mythical beings, still exist. It's just that they're in a different dimension. They exist interdimensionally, because the frequency in planet Earth has been too low for them to exist. So they had to go interdimensional to exist. And they could no longer exist on planet Earth. But thankfully, we'll talk about things like that in other speakeasies, but that vibration is coming back. Yeah. But before we get too far down the woo-woo stage, people call woo-woo, and it's like
everybody's turning off now.
Woo-woo, woo-woo.
They've mentioned unicorns, switch them off.
Yeah,
nutters.
Nutters. But it's true though, because there is so much that we don't see, and I've been doing research into science. I love science, and science is finding out that it's all getting a little bit woo-woo in science, even. Yeah. And that's wonderful, because eventually science and spirituality will begin to work together like they did in the ancient times. However, what we've got to bear in mind is that what we've seen, what we've witnessed with our own eyes, is this almost like gladiatorial arena situation where people are being picked on, right? And these people are supposed to be the truthers.
Who are doing the picking, you mean?
Who are doing the picking, who are doing the picking on. It's like the playground bully situation.
But it's very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And to watch it actually going on, you know, I've been in that. I've been in that thing, and I've done the baying hound thing, and you know, string everybody up from a tree and hang them high and all this. But when you look at it in a more deeper spiritual sense, you understand that we're all on this pathway to ascension. Yeah, we're all playing a part, as Anne said. We're all playing a part. We've all got the cue. We all get the cue in our acting role to come into Earth and go, right, I need to go to Earth now, live on Earth, and in such and such a time in the timeline, I will kind of find why I'm here. find out why I'm here, sorry, and start doing what I came to do. And that's what's happening right now. People are doing that. People are beginning to find their true pathway. So it doesn't help in the slightest when we don't understand the deeper spiritual aspect of it, that the bad guys are equally much as important as the flipping good guys. Yeah. And they're essential, because without that kind of different alternative perception, then we can't find the light. We can't see where that light shines. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
You know,
and everybody's playing a role in that. So we've just mentioned about, you know, the truth is being played, but they have to have that role to sort of switch your perception. At one time, I mean, you've just mentioned, haven't you, that you were very much into it. I used to be there, well, you know, years ago, watching, you know, gossip magazines and newspapers, and I don't know, I mean, I'm never one for
The Sun.
I was never one for daytime TV, but I have caught Jeremy Kyle on occasion, and it's that, isn't it, where everybody's goading and taking pleasure out of somebody else's discomfort.
It's the gladiatorial arena, isn't it?
But I can't say we've all been there. I certainly have. You've certainly been in certain aspects, haven't you? But we have to be able to change our perception. Now that makes me really uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that from a point of that I think, oh, I'm now better than somebody else because I no longer participate in that. That's not what we're here for. We're not on an ego trip.
No.
There's nobody better than other. It's just, as I've mentioned, it's different roles, isn't it?
Different perception of reality. We're all in a different perception of reality. But there is a common goal. And the common goal is for ascension. And if you're not sure what ascension means, it means that we're raising ourselves out from a certain behaviour, from behavioural patterns, okay, that have not served us any. And, you know, we're all going through that personally.
Absolutely.
But we're also going through it collectively. Yeah. You know, you look at the animal kingdom, you look at nature, it's all sorted. It works perfect, it harmonises, and it's a fine-tuned system, isn't it?
But interestingly, there is a hierarchy.
Right.
Isn't there? In the animal kingdom, there's a hierarchy. Yeah, of course there is. Well, you've got a pride of lions.
King Julian off, what's it? I like to move it.
Well, there is. You get a pack of animals, there's always one leader, isn't there?
There is.
And there is always another one coming in to take over.
Yeah.
Isn't there? That oust the, you know, the elder generation.
Ousts.
Oust.
That's a good word. Oust them. Oust them all.
Them now.
I oust you.
With a lot of biting and fur kicking and all that sort of stuff.
But there is a natural order, isn't there? And what's been happening in humanity is there's been an unnatural order because it's detached itself from its divinity. Yeah.
Well, we've got so many distractions, haven't we?
Exactly.
We've got materialistic stuff, wanting the latest thing. You know, you only have to go on and watch any of these, I don't know, Instagram, YouTube, where people are, there's another word, foisting products. It's all about
and foisting.
Foisting.
Yeah.
It's my age. It's the good old-fashioned words coming out.
Yeah.
But it isn't it? It's always about the next hit. What's the next new thing that we can have?
The next, absolutely.
You know, that gives you a hit for what? 5 seconds before you're on to the new stuff. So we're captivated, aren't we, by materialism? We're captivated by gossip. We're captivated by celebrities. Drama.
Oh, the drama.
It's a big one, isn't it?
It's like,
you know, about competition, about beating others, about being on top, having the
best.
most likes, being the most popular.
Yeah.
And it narrows it down, doesn't it? It narrows it down just to you as an individual.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, how can I serve you?
Yeah.
How can we live where we can serve each other? And have, you know, I've never been one for like living in a commune. In fact, the mere thought of living with a group of people sort of terrifies the life out of me. No, I need my space. But to be able to be in some form of community where intentions come from the heart rather than what can I make out of you? What can I get out of you?
Yeah.
And we see that a lot, don't we? We see that with people, you know, wondering how they can, well, make a quick buck, really.
Yeah. We do need to consider our future. Yeah. And this centralized hive of power that controls everything. It's completely foreign to the human spirit.
Well, we're tribal beings, aren't we?
We are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I'm on the outside.
Outside of what?
The tribe. I could just be the mad herbal woman, couldn't I, that just lives alone, muttering to herself in the woods.
Can be arranged.
And people just come and see me every now and again if they're not too scared.
And poke you with a stick.
Yeah, poke me with a stick.
So you kind of don't bite. They want to know whether you're in
Yeah.
a good mood or a bad mood. By the way, that's me every day.
What, poking me with a stick?
Just to see if she's in a good mood or a bad mood. Yeah.
And how do you think the stick makes me feel?
Has a stick.
As my dad used to say, I'm always in a good mood until somebody puts me in a bad mood.
Yeah, whatever.
And that leads on to another subject, but we won't go into that. Well, yeah, I mean, it's about blame, isn't it? You make me feel like such and such, where actually it's not taking responsibility that I'm responsible for the feelings that come up within me. Yeah, but that's a whole new thing that we talk about.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's personal responsibility, isn't it? That we always seek blame, don't we? We always, well, you made me do that, or I need to get you back for that type of attitude. And
that sort of thing.
Yeah. And, without sounding awful, it's childish, isn't it? But the children, though, now, and that's another subject, the children are going to lead the way for our future in a spiritual sense. But I'm kind of just coming back onto track, really, about this this kind of getting sucked into this narrative of I'm not saying that we should stop looking into these things, like what's the word? Trying to find the truth of things. We should always seek the truth. We should always look into it. We should always delve into it. But we shouldn't get locked into it. We are evolving spiritually all the time. But what seems to be happening is that people aren't doing that. They're just locked into this vibration, this narrative, and it's not allowing them to release themselves from it. And I've been there. And we've seen other people there as well. And even into instances where people have considered actually taking their own lives. Yeah. And when it gets to that point, you then got to either take that, you've got two steps, sorry. You've got one where you could take your own life, or two, where you could step back and review your life. Okay. And that's really important. Because we've also got to consider healing in this as well, because we're all healing right now, whether we're aware of it or not. Yeah. And healing, again, comes from within. It comes from within the divine spirit. And we're purging. We're purging. It's like going off some kind of foodstuffs, going off alcohol, things that we can't tend to tolerate in the body anymore. It's all part of the ascension process. But we've got to be aware of that. We've got to be aware of what's going on. That's the key point, is to be conscious of it. Yeah. Being conscious of it makes a massive difference, because then you take on a different perception of life. That's the key. Yeah. The key is perception. If we perceive life to be all doom and gloom, and we're going into a dystopian future, then that's what we'll get. That's all we'll see. Yeah. If we perceive life as being something amazingly exciting, and we're going to go into a new future of hope and prosperity and abundance, that's what we'll get. Yeah. So we've got to kind of find that balance in humanity where we kind of all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. And I'm not saying that in a kind of Marxist Stalinist dictatorial sense where you will be spiritual, because we can't do that. That's a nonsense. But what we can do is find it within ourselves. Okay, do the purging, get rid of the stuff which no longer serves us, and that does include people.
It does.
Yeah. And it's painful. It's extremely painful. There is stuff that we just dismiss every day that we've done in our lives. Oh, you know, whatever. But now it's surfacing. This stuff's surfacing. It's coming up.
Nobody likes change.
No, and we're struggling to deal with it. Yeah, we're finding it difficult, but it's not going to last forever. And that's the thing to remember, is it's not going to last forever.
But it's being able to talk to other people about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this sort of stuff, when you sort of, you know, your friends, your family have a completely different view to you. It's very isolating.
Extremely
and that was one
isolating.
of the reasons we wanted to have a place, a physical place, where people could come and feel safe and talk about anything and meet other people that are going through the same sort of things as well.
Yeah.
You know?
The same madness.
Yeah.
Joking aside with that, you know, mental health issues, you know, it's kind of, we're realising these things and we should talk about them. Yeah. And we just come across Ren, haven't we? And his, well, art, really, performance art. And the guy does this from the soul. And that's what we should be all doing now, is we should be speaking from the heart, serving from the soul, in whatever way that is. And
being allowed to do that freely without, I don't know, constraint, without the,
being
you know,
shackled,
the mind-numbing brainwashing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Being frightened now that we don't say things.
To be able to speak, you know, freely.
Neither of us, and I'm sure the majority of people out watching this sort of stuff, haven't got a bad bone in the body.
No.
You know, they don't speak.
Well, I've got a bit of a one down here that keeps giving me a bit of shit, but, you know.
Perhaps I'll rephrase that.
Yeah.
But certainly anything I say, and I know, you know, yourself, that we don't want to cause any hurt, any misunderstanding with people.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like we come from the heart.
It's doing things with compassion, doing things with kindness, yeah, being mindful of what we're doing,
and not labelling. Not labelling. I have a big issue with labelling.
Labelling's a political thing.
We don't need a label.
We don't need politics.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you're from. If you're a decent human being, you know, then I love you for whoever you are. I don't need you in a box. You don't need to be stereotyped.
No. We could go a lot deeper in this conversation with the divine side of things, that we are fractals of the divine source of all love. And we are that experiencing itself in different realities, in different dimensions.
In different packages.
Exactly. And we can talk about that later. But for now, it's kind of knowing what's going on, knowing that we're going through a major, major transition period, physically, mentally, spiritually. Yeah. And
it's hard.
And it's hard.
It's hard.
It's the hardest thing that anybody in physical reality is ever going to have to undergo.
And you needn't go through it alone.
No.
That's the thing.
And we just need to talk about it, share our experiences, yeah. What we desire in terms of the future is actually happening now, by the way. If we understand that we've already, and I've said this in previous speakeasy, we've already achieved that utopia. It's actually happening now, it's just that we can't see it, yeah. And because our frequency is not high enough to be able to observe it at the moment. Okay, so when we reach that higher frequency, we'll be able to see that more and more of this amazing way of life is going to reveal itself. And but surely now people are beginning to see the demise of the old way of life. It's collapsing. It's folding in on itself. It's almost like we can get a big box of popcorn and sit here and watch it all happening, like some kind of big movie
Like some
scene.
Q drop.
Exactly. A
Get
what?
your popcorn
Q
out.
drop. I've heard a Q tip.
Yeah. Popcorn.
Oh, you're not allowed to stick things in your ears anymore, are you? But we've got to understand that it's there for us already. And by raising our frequency, through whatever way we do that, okay, that's the way forward. And like I said, the old system, it's the old system. It's old thinking, you know? Corporations, politics, religions, it's old thinking. It's stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. You know, how many people are in a position at the moment where they're fed up with a job? In the last 3 years, how many people have changed the jobs? How many people have thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do what I want to do. Yeah? It's all part of the change. It's all part of where we're going. And, you know, we witness people coming to us, wanting to be healers, wanting to link in with their own psychic abilities, and to watch people find that and discover their potential as a divine human being that is the biggest reward that we can ever receive.
It's amazing
to see that happening. And that's what we love about it.
Absolutely.
We love that. We love that.
Yeah.
And we'd love everybody to share in that and to witness that. And you know what? Whatever it is that, like I said, these truthers keep putting out there, doom and gloom, this is going to happen, that's going to happen.
Fear,
it's
isn't it?
all from a point of fear. The two sides are dealing with fear, not love. Not love for each other, not love for humanity, not the hope and the kind of realization of the power that we have to change things. And we don't need to take up arms and fight. That's old school thinking. We're doing it through thought. We're actually doing it through thought and intention. Yeah? Because that is the most powerful thing, the most powerful weapon, if you want to call it that, not a good word, but the most powerful thing that we have to change reality. We aren't going to change the consciousness or reality with